You're listening to The Road to Financial Independence by CPS Investment Advisors, where smart planning and sound strategy keep you steady as you grow.
And welcome back to another edition of The Road to Financial Independence. My name is Mike Riskin, president of CPS Investment Advisors. And as always, I'm joined by my partner and CEO of CPS, Peter Golotko. Hey, Pete.
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
Never better. How about yourself?
Better. Same here. Life is good.
Life is good. I'm excited. It's graduation season.
It is. We got some people graduate from high school and college, and I don't even think you. Do you remember when you graduated?
So that's a great tee up to our topic because it's been a minute. And since it's been a minute since you and I had our first job, we decided to actually bring somebody on the show today who has recently started his career. Yep. Ironically enough, it's with CPS. So anyway, I apologize. Introduce our guest today. Yep. Will Battle is our producer extraordinaire here at the CPS podcast, The Road to Financial Independence. All the great content that you see out there. It's not just Pete and I's pretty faces. There is a producer behind it who edits and does a great job. So thank you, Will. You've been doing a fantastic job.
Thank you for making us look good. That's hard to do. That's very hard to do.
The hardest job in the office.
Right.
Will's a recent graduate from Florida Southern College.
Yeah.
And he interned with us and now is with us. So Will, what were some things that when you were graduating recently that you were looking for or that was important to you, and maybe some of the things that the colleges work with you guys on to think about?
Yeah, I think the most important thing getting out of college is just having the confidence to know that you're going to land somewhere where you'll be able to have a consistent income. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of the people that I talk to, a lot of my friends that are even graduating college now, that's the thing that they're most concerned about is just where am I going to land? Like where am I going to be spending most of my time after college?
Yep.
And a lot of them, that's something that weighs heavily on them going through that final semester into even the current economy now, where people are starting to feel that maybe there's not a place for them to land. Maybe they won't get an opportunity, and that can be concerning.
So right now it seems like they're more worried about even just landing the job versus what that job provides.
And I remember way back ancient history when I was in college. That was the same thing for all of us. We had a big recession. First Gulf War,
you graduated during
and nobody would get
pullback.
a job. So that's when everybody went back and got their master's degree. So that's a very trying period of time. But now you landed your job. How'd that feel?
Yeah, it felt really good.
Felt really good.
Felt
what were some of the challenges that you had, moving into your job? What did you do to prepare yourself for day one?
I think one of the biggest things that prepared me for the current in-office experience that I have now was the last internship I was able to have at college. Mm-hmm. It was with a sports company through the county, Polk County here in Florida, and being in the office 3 days a week, having some days that were 8 to 4. It really helped me to get that rigor, get that experience of waking up, driving to work each and every day.
Being on time, staying until you're time to go home. That's tough.
What a concept.
Coming out of college or high school, that's tough because you don't have that discipline.
Yeah, especially in college, because even when you have classes to go to, you have the walk to class. You see friends along the way that break up the monotony of the day.
That's an interesting point. I never thought about it. You go from the rigor of structure, I should say, the structure of elementary, middle, and high school, because that's very structured. Mm-hmm. You have to be here this time. Everything's structured, right? And then all of a sudden you go to college, where if you go to college, the freedom there is wild.
Not everybody makes it through because of that.
That's right. Right. But then you graduate, and now you're back to the rigor and structure again. That's a good point there. But so leaving school, you're looking for the salary that you might make, and obviously you weigh your options there. So some of the things Pete led off with insurance and benefits, we'll get into some of the other ones. Was that even? Do you have any idea of hey, what's out there, what I should be looking for, other than there might be a 401k? I know you knew what a 401k was because you interned with us, but
you put money into it,
right? But what things were you even aware of that maybe a high school or college student watching this probably says, they think you just go to work and get a paycheck.
I think it's great that you brought that up. Like the internship that I had here, preparing me for life after college, it did so much more for me, and I'm so grateful to both of you guys for the opportunity that you gave me. But that is what became like on the top of my mind was, I want a place that is going to have good health insurance, that I'm going to be able to contribute to a 401k, that I can start planning for my future from day one. Because as we talk about here, steady as you grow.
Steady as you grow.
Continuing to like plan for the long term, that starts the second you get out of college, and for some it starts earlier than that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was really important to me. So that's why working here was definitely like at the top of my list.
But not everybody gets the financial education you got through working with us, and I can see where that could be an issue. Where how do I start, first of all? Because I remember when I got out of school, there was so many things that I wanted to buy and do, and I thought I was making a lot of money, but I wasn't making a lot of money to do all that stuff, you know. So how do you start saving, and how do you start building wealth that's going to make a difference in the long term? So,
yeah, and Will and I were talking before we started today, and I think one of the things that, and I don't know if I did this intentionally or not intentionally, but just share a story of what I did that I felt like really helped me a ton, was out of college, I kept my housing costs super low.
yes.
And I think that's whether, a lot of kids graduate with either maybe some college debt, or maybe you don't, or even if you're just going from high school right to the workforce and you're getting your own place. I think it's such a temptation to get a nice place, or you want to live on your own, or live in a nice neighborhood and
Nice car because you got an older car. Those are that's money going out the door.
It is. And
making other people rich.
Exactly. And when you're younger and single and don't have a family yet, you can tolerate a different level of
poor.
Maybe not cleanliness, but at least like standards. So
now we know where Mike's
that's
going.
right. But no, the first year after college, I lived at home, and I'm like, you know what? I lived with my parents for a year. I commuted and saved a lot of money, and then I bought a townhouse in a not so sexy neighborhood, and had a roommate for 6 years that paid half. So my housing costs were super low. And what that enabled me to do is, for those of you that have watched our Pay Yourself First podcast, right out of the gate, I was able to start putting away the 10%, paying myself for build. I sort of recognized, hey, I need to start building this wealth versus dumping it into a housing situation that I can't afford. It'll set you back right out of the gate. I think even worse than student debt. I mean, what do you think about that?
I absolutely agree with you. Student debt comes with your degree. Okay, and you're going to get a job.
Investment.
It's an investment, and you pay for that investment. But when you're throwing money away at housing and new cars and trying to keep up with the Joneses and going out and having a great time, that's time that you're losing on building wealth. And if you start out early after you get out of school, you don't have to save long to build it. You save early and often, and then you can stop and it'll grow. But if you don't do that, it takes you a while.
Be patient.
Be patient.
It's a marathon.
Yeah.
It's so important to recognize that.
I always tell people, in life, you're going to have to sacrifice, okay? And you have a choice. You can sacrifice when you first got out of school for maybe 10 years, and then you don't have to sacrifice anymore.
Right.
Or you can wait 10 years, and then you sacrifice the rest of your life. You've got that choice, and those that start early benefit from compounding, benefit from wealth generation. So, if you can act poor for the first 10 years of your life, eat at home, try to keep your expenses down and save money, you're going to do well.
Yeah, I love that. Act poor. I think a lot of people want to act that they're wealthier above what they are.
Yeah.
And I think it sounds like you and I want the same. I did the opposite.
We did the opposite.
I wanted people to think that I couldn't afford anything.
Right. And, people aren't impressed with people that walk around thinking they're rich. I know I can tell people who are rich, and a lot of times the millionaire next door is a perfect example. The rich people in your community are the ones you would never expect to have a dime, because they don't need your approval. They're on with their life, and they're donating money, and they're doing all the things that make them happy. They don't need your approval. It's usually the people that struggle to build wealth are the ones that, stand out and say, hey, look at me, look at me.
Yeah.
You don't need people to know what wealth you have. You don't want people to know what wealth you have. And that's the key to, building and keeping it private and having people like you instead of hating you for, trying to brag about that.
So I have a question, like, to kind of go off of that, like what you guys were sharing. Do you feel like anything that you have shared so far changes depending on when you start your adult life? So if you just go straight out of high school, because there are a lot of people that I know as well that are saying, oh, I'm not going to do college. I'm just going to go straight into my trade or straight into like my field of expertise. Like
there's no change, because those that choose to not go to college have to start saving anyway, because, and this is an assumption I make, and maybe it's not true, but I assume everybody wants to get to the point where they're financially independent, where you don't have to worry about the next paycheck. Whatever happens, you can write a check, make those problems go away. And to do that, there's a lot of planning. You got to start early. And it doesn't matter what income you have. Somebody who makes 50 grand can become financially independent a lot easier than somebody who makes 250,000, because they don't have to save as much money. Keeping your expenses low means that you don't have to grow your wealth to a point where it's got to spin off all this income just so you can survive. So, those getting out of high school and starting right there, save for the first 10 years. Try to save 10% of your own income and the match from your employer. You're going to be so happy you did.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's off topic, but in terms of just making that decision, I think a lot of, if college is definitely not for you, and something that you don't, look, I'm all for getting a college education. I preach that, but I realize it's not for everybody, and also I realize that some folks just aren't motivated to do it. So getting into that trade, there's so many different things you can do these days that can really help, set your career forward. And like Pete said, there really is no age in terms of. It's the same message whether you graduate high school or college. And again, if you start out of high school, maybe you don't have any college debt. If you went to college and have some debt, but the message is the same. Live below your means, save for pay yourself first, and just put that college debt as part of the process of paying stuff off.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's going to come a point in time, I think very soon, that more people are not going to go to college. What we're seeing with AI right now, if you back up 20 years, the past 20 years, everybody's been pushing to go get, your tech degree where you can program and all of that. Well, in one foul swoop, that's all gone. So what isn't going to go are what you use your hands for. The trades. And you know what? The more we get away from that, the more it's going to cost us to bring those people in. These people are going to make a lot of money. And I think there's going to be a swing from everybody having to go to college now to, if you're going to college for a doctor, a lawyer, a CPA, or some professional, that's great because now you can afford the debt. But the other ones, you may want to skip that and get a certificate or get a trade, learn a trade.
Yeah, you really have to see what the cost of the education is versus what your profession is going to be on the backside to justify that ROI. So what are some other things, Will, in terms of 401k? We talked about insurance. What other benefits out there? Educational assistance, talk about that. Is that something you found? I know that's something we offer at CPS, being that we have a lot of credentialed professionals in our office. We want them to continue their education, so we do offer educational assistance for a master's or something like that. Are those things that you're seeing out there or folks taking advantage of?
Not so much. I don't really think I'm seeing much financial education, like not at college at least. And I don't really see as much of an interest, unfortunately, in people learning how to steward and take care of their money.
And that's sad because we all have that. Everybody's going to end up having to do that. So why not learn how to do all of this? But people, are they looking for saving money? Are they talking about that stuff? Because we usually learn from our parents on how to save money and all that. And I know my generation, my parents learned from my grandparents who had a pension.
Yeah.
They didn't have to worry about saving money, And then it got down to my parents and they did okay. and I learned from them. However, I'm in that financial realm. You got a lot of people coming out of college that are not, and working, they get that information.
It seems like it's something where people feel slightly overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Like at this stage, I'm seeing a lot of people are like 401k. That's a big word. Yeah. I don't really want to hear that right now. They're like stock market. That seems a little scary to me. I don't like to take a lot of risks. Like I'd rather put it under my pillow. I'd rather put it under my bed, and then I'll be good.
So I think that's a good segue in almost getting back to the basics. And I'm curious because you are maybe a generation or two separated here. So one of the first things I did when I graduated was get a bank account. Mm-hmm. So is that still a thing? I mean, do you have to get a bank account? Have you ever written a check?
Do you have a bank account?
I do.
Have you written a check?
I have not written a check.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I'm not.
I mean, maybe the checks will be gone by the wayside. I don't know, but I still write checks
it's all
from time
online
to time.
bill pay.
Yeah, I almost did the other day, but I found a way around it. I found a way around it. I've done a money order before, which was a shocker to me. When I had to get my passport, I did a money order.
Okay, so obviously you need a bank account because you need a place to park when you get paid. You need a place to deposit the money because everything's direct deposit. Yeah. You're probably not going to get a check.
So I did that in high school. So
okay. So you had one in high school, and then the other big. The big thing is the credit card, right? Yeah. The first thing they usually do when you walk onto college campus is give you the free towel and the credit card application.
Yes, don't just say no. Just say no.
Right.
And really, a lot of people struggle getting out of college because they got a lot of credit card debt.
Right.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of stuff to do when you're in college, but you don't have any money.
Yeah.
Well,
you got to pay that back.
They got to pay it back, and that's painful. That's very painful.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So learning. If you do happen to get a credit card, learning how to manage that, but I was really curious about the bank account. Yeah. So everything's online bill pay.
Yep.
And then so you actually got a bank account out of high school then when you turned 18, I would imagine.
Absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like you said, mostly Venmo, like Cash App now. Like
oh my gosh.
PayPal, Apple Pay, like that's mostly how my generation I feel.
Yeah. Well, I still write checks from time to time.
Oh, so do I.
Yeah.
I don't even have a checkbook.
I don't know if I could sleep at night if I didn't have my checkbook.
Yeah. So a lot of these, I don't know if you use an app, Will, but also managing your budget. Now, I'm not one of these guys that, I mean, even though I'm a CPA, I've never really done a budget where I keep track of everything, but I do obviously have a sense of, money coming in, money going out. I always use, it's not an endorsement, but I've always used Quicken. There's other good ones out there that handle. Do you use something like that to help
absolutely.
Cash flow? Oh, there you go.
I use Quicken as well.
Okay.
And
how's that working out? Good?
It helps a lot.
Right? Because you can sort of forecast.
Exactly.
Right?
And I know
it's surprising how much you spend on things, right? It's like, well, I spend that much. It doesn't feel like I spend it. But after you look at a year spending, that's a lot of money.
It'll give you a monthly report too. So you can be like, wow, I spent a lot more in this area than I was intending to. And I really need to cut down on that for next month, if I want to continue to, meet my projections, continue to, especially someone who I like data a lot. So I'm a super analytical, I'm a super technical person. So I like to be able to see, okay, in 6 to 8 months, this is how much money I'm looking to have here, and this is like what the chart is saying, and like if I get off of that, I like to be able to make an adjustment sooner rather than later. So I think everybody should do that.
Everybody should do that, but not everybody has that mindset. Some people struggle with budgeting. They struggle with finances and computer. We're not all built the same way. Right. So what I recommend to those people is instead of doing your budget, you want to budget your savings first. Okay, so you got to decide.
Yeah,
I want to save 10% of my gross income, and this is where I'm going to put it, and this is what I have left. This is what I'm going to spend. And if you're saving first, you're living below your means.
Yeah.
And that takes the budgeting away. Now you got to make difficult decisions. Do I eat this week or do I go out with my friends? Those are some of the decisions.
Well,
you have to make.
But I mean, it's I think for somebody that's never done it before. Just the concept of overdrawing the account, I think, there's no real buffer there. A lot of times, like the bank will let you do the transaction, and then they find out later, hey, you overdrew the account. Here, you owe us the money and the $35 fee. Yeah. So you definitely want to avoid, and I think that's why those tools. Yes, you got to pay yourself first, and I think after you've done that, those tools that help you forecast out your cash flow. When you talk about getting your first job and things you might want to think about.
Yeah. And my last question to you off of what you said, you mentioned the 10%. Mm-hmm. If you're working for a place that doesn't have a 401k, that doesn't have a match plan, what would be your recommendation, like if you guys can, to where to put that money?
he doesn't have 401k, so you should be saving 10%. The first thing you want to do is open up an IRA.
Yeah. Or a Roth IRA.
A Roth IRA, depending on your income, okay? If your income is below, I think it's $200,000, you can do a Roth IRA. It's not tax deductible going in, but it's tax-free on any earnings for the rest of your life. Big
we're big
benefit.
Roth IRA fans.
So you've got that. You also have the traditional IRA if your income's a little higher and you need the tax deduction for it. But a lot of my clients, they'll max out their 401k plan and still will be below their savings. So we'll do a non-deductible IRA or maybe a backdoor Roth where we put an IRA and then afterwards we roll to the Roth, no tax. And also, everybody needs to have an emergency fund.
Yeah.
Because putting all your money away for retirement and something happens,
right.
You got to be able to sleep at night knowing that if you have a flat tire, you can make a call and get that tire repaired and not have to worry about somebody coming picking you up for work.
Yeah, so, I think that's a huge point when we're talking about ideas coming out of graduation is that the emergency fund. So even and that can be part of the 10%. So maybe maybe 5% goes to 401k and 5% goes to the emergency fund. The point is, at a minimum, get to that 3 to 6 months of cash flow.
And the emergency fund isn't your savings account. Where if you're going out and you need an extra $50, you go hit it. This emergency fund is one that you put in. And you don't touch unless you're on the way to the emergency room or on the way to the hospital or something really bad, because you're going to need that one of these days, and you don't want to be short on that.
And that's part of the discipline we talked about. I mean, that's why we like the 401 or the IRA, because you can't touch it to a certain degree, and so it's forced savings. The emergency fund, really, we recommend obviously setting up definitely a separate account, and even maybe opening up that account. At a bank is fine, but even at a brokerage account, so it's separate. You're not tempted. It's so easy to I want to go out this Friday night, so I need $50 because it's right there. Yeah. You go online, you can grab it. The whole point is to not touch that.
Not touch that.
I have my emergency fund through a brokerage, so it's something where so you said you would recommend that, and it's something that you can't get the money for 2 to 8 days, sometimes when you draw it out, but. That should be fine. If it's
it's just another barrier to making you pause and say, okay, wait, I'm not supposed to be touching this money.
Yeah. Savings is real hard.
It is hard.
I mean, you save and then you take out $5,000 out of your savings. How long did it take you to put that in?
Yeah,
that's what I always thought about when I'm saving.
Months to put it in and 30 seconds to take it out.
Yeah, to let it go. Yeah,
it's tough. It's tough. Well, Will, I appreciate you sharing that experience. It's really great to hear that you're listening to our advice. So that's a big win today.
Yep. One parting shot, I'll say, don't buy a boat.
Break out another
boat
1,000.
Stands for break out another 1,000. They're the money pit. So just a lot of people want to buy the new toys and all that and have fun with their friends. If you want a boat, find somebody who has one and let them spend all their money on it. That's right. That's right.
Buy a canoe.
Buy a canoe. You get on their boat, drink their beer, use their fishing equipment, and you're all good.
Some words of wisdom from Pete.
That's right.
Pete, you always give us some great stuff there. Well, appreciate you. Will, thanks for coming on. I think that was awesome. Little interaction back and forth and some great questions there. So thanks for being our guest today. We'll have you back soon enough. But for now, you'll go back behind the camera and help produce our show.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, guys. And if you like this content, don't forget to follow us at CPS Investment Advisors, www.cpsinvest.com, or certainly give us a call at 863-688-1725.
The information provided in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be construed as investment, legal, or tax advice. CPS Investment Advisors is a registered investment advisor with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Registration does not imply any level of skill or training. The opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of CPS Investment Advisors. The information discussed is believed to be accurate at the time of recording, but may not remain current. Listeners should not consider the discussion or any information shared as a solicitation or recommendation to buy or sell any particular security or investment strategy. All investments involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Before making any investment decisions, listeners should consult with a qualified professional about their individual circumstances. For additional information about CPS Investment Advisors, including our services and fees, please review our Form ADV, which is available at www.advisorinfo.sec.gov.